The liberal media, the establishment, and maybe even some of your friends are pretending that Kamala Harris is normal, is capable, is competent. And this is just another election year. It is nothing like that. This is totally bizarre. A farce, if you will. Everything about it, how she got the nomination, how she's behaving now that she is the nominee. All the stuff from her vice presidency in San Francisco. None of it is normal. She should be on the defensive constantly, desperate to explain her record and explain how she has demonstrate how she has any grasp of the issues. No. You know what the smart people are saying? This is all she has to do to win this thing.
Harris and Walz never give interviews. They never explain any of the things they say. We have barely heard from them from the debate, and they're trying to run out the clock on a lot of this stuff.
Democrats around her are skittish, and they want to run out the clock.
It is very smart because she doesn't have to, if she can run the clock out.
I think Kamala Harris would be completely happy to run around the country, do these rallies with adoring fans everywhere, and run out the clock.
Run out the clock. That's really what... Yeah, I guess there's some validity in our bizarro world. Who runs out the clock? A football team, maybe, right, that's been slugging away for 4 quarters, and they want to hold the lead they have. Remember, she just got in. All right, how many days do they have to run out the clock? How many days are left? 42 days. How long have they been in this race? Donald Trump has been in this race for almost 2 years. She's been in for a little over 2 months. Run out the clock. You see how, this is surreal where we are right now. Surreal. And that she can get on and off airplanes looking cool, and this is somehow a campaign. All right? But then again, it's not just all looking stylish in those pantsuits. It's coming up with those, I don't know. This is not memorable. This is not unique. This is actually cliche, but they just swoon when she says it.
I do hope you'll reconsider to meet me on the debate stage. Because as the saying goes, if you've got something to say, say it to my face.
Not funny. And stop saying Kamala Harris is challenging Donald Trump to a second debate. No, this would be the 3rd debate. Remember, he annihilated Joe Biden in the first one. So you can't write honest stories about Kamala Harris. Now, for a time you could in our bizarro upside-down world. When she was vice president, before Joe Biden went down, you could write stories like this, that she was terrible. Everybody understood it in the fake news, the mainstream media. She was a disaster. And not just the entire time. Nobody liked her. She was firing people, allegedly throwing stuff at people from time to time. A crazy temper. But what is our culture like right now? What up is down, what down is up. There are all sorts of murky, weird rules of the moment. No standards, just ever-shifting winds. Now, for a time, you could not say, actually for a long time, you couldn't say anything bad about Joe Biden. The Wall Street Journal, about 2 weeks before the big debate, actually wrote this story. Behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping. They went out on a limb. Now, when is that story again? June 4th, 2024. Again, before the debate. It was really not that strong a piece. They kind of beat around the bush. They wrote things like this. It's a lot to read here. Stay with me. The president spoke so softly and with such little enunciation that attendees at a meeting said they struggled to hear what he was saying, people familiar with the meeting said. He told the same story more than once about his experiences with the DuPont company during his time as a Delaware senator. One of the people said, all right, so he's slipping mentally. And then, of course, half the story is about Donald Trump is slipping mentally, too. This is a mild story. The Wall Street Journal went there, big newspaper, and look what they did to the Wall Street Journal. How dare they say anything about Joe Biden's brain?
They know it's a lie.
But
Willie, it's a crazy thing about it They know it's a lie.
The White House disputes what is in the story. They dispute that Biden has these bad moments. They insist that he is sharp.
This very shoddy story by the Wall Street Journal questioning Biden's mental fitness.
You have Wall Street Journal running a horribly sourced piece saying that Biden is unfit.
How dare they? And how dare they talk to Republicans? They actually talk to Republicans. Republicans like Mike Johnson, who actually worked with the guy. So what happens? About 20 days later or so, Joe shows up for the debate, and then you can't hide it anymore, right? I still think they put Joe out there on purpose. The earliest debate in presidential history, I think, who's ever controlling this, Obama, whatever, they knew he would fail. And he did.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
So how about it? Had to drop out. And given our upside-down, surreal culture of the moment, no one really seems to be interested in how did that happen? Why was the cover-up maintained? Who had a vested interest in that? What did Kamala know? And when did she know it? No, not going to write that story. We're just going to pretend that Kamala is a normal candidate for president. And we're going to ignore that she doesn't know a damn thing. And we'll keep portraying Trump as a dangerous insurrectionist. No one is buying it. Look, the reality is everywhere, all the time. Take a look.
We really would love to know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
Yeah, first of all, thank you both for being here. And yours is a story I hear around the country as I travel. And in terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family.
How are you going to bring down the cost of food and groceries?
Good. Very good. Thank you. So we have to start always with energy. Always. I don't want to be boring about it. It's my ambition to get your energy bill within 12 months down 50%. If I can do that, you've done a hell of a job. 5-0. Not 15, 50. Interest rates are going to follow, and actually they're going to follow for another reason. The economy is now not good. But we're going to get interest rates down, and we got to work with our farmers. Our farmers are being decimated right now. They're being absolutely decimated.
All right. It's obvious. It's so obvious. So if you still like Kamala, you don't like her because she's good. You like her because who knows why you like her? Is it a gender thing? I don't know. So you got to ask yourself, well, who's around Kamala? Who are these people who are calling the shots? You know, she fired just about everybody who was working for her. I know that this guy's around. His name is Plouffe, David Plouffe. He ran Obama's campaign. Who is he? I don't know. But reportedly, he's making $10 million over 3.5 months to run this campaign. That's really something. So that guy's in the mix with a serious financial interest, I guess. And Doug Emhoff, he's like really active, even more active than she is. He's going everywhere, travels by himself. I want to know more about him. You do know that, well, let's face it, he's no gentleman. Have you been reading the UK Daily Mail? This guy's a piece of work. But listen to him lecture men in America.
There's too much of toxicity. It's masculine toxicity out there, and we've kind of confused what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine, where you've got this trope out there that you've got to be tough and, you know, angry and lash out to be strong. It's just the opposite. You know, strength is how you show your love for people. Strength is how you are for people and how you have their back and how you stick up for other people and pushing out against bullies. I mean, that's what I believe it is.
Okay, what about toxic masculinity? I think that might have something to do with not getting the nanny pregnant. Sorry, it's fair game. It is. There are certain reasons why people don't run for president, and getting the nanny pregnant, that might be one of the reasons why you don't run. But he ran, his wife is running, whatever. It's okay. It's okay. Moving on to a very disturbing reminder that Joe Biden is still the president at the United Nations today. No shame, no soul whatsoever.
When I came to office as president, Afghanistan had replaced Vietnam as America's longest war. I was determined to end it, and I did. It was a hard decision, but the right decision. 4 American presidents had faced that decision, but I was determined not to leave it to the 5th. It was a decision accompanied by tragedy. 13 brave Americans lost their lives, along with hundreds of Afghans in a suicide bomb. I think those lost lives, I think them every day.
That's it right there. He hasn't really even acknowledged them individually, ever. And I know a day where he wasn't thinking of them. It was the day of the debate in June. These 13 heroes who died because of his botched, chaotic withdrawal that he was warned about. It didn't have to be that way. Generally, when you're withdrawing from a country after a long war, the war's on the downside, not on the upside. This is a result of his incompetence. And yes, I think there have been many days, probably every day, where he doesn't think about these people. But here's one in particular, and I have proof. It was that debate in June.
The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
He wasn't thinking about him then, was he? The loss in Afghanistan is not nearly, I don't think it's a big enough issue in this race. It should be much, much bigger. And Kamala Harris's role in all that. And by the way, Joe Biden not only doesn't think about him, I don't think he even cared about him. Remember the whole watch moment? Something else that happened today, Joe Biden in New York City at the United Nations, by the way, his last big speech to the UN. He had this to say about his political demise.
This summer, I faced a decision whether to seek a second term as president. It was a difficult decision. Being president has been the honor of my life. There's so much more I want to get done. As much as I love the job, I love my country more. I decided after 50 years of public service, it's time for a new generation of leadership to take my nation forward. My fellow leaders, let us never forget, some things are more important than staying in power.
No, that story doesn't check out. Joe has actually not leveled with the American people about what really happened. No real explanation. Gave that big speech from the Oval Office, remember, and said, that's it, not running. Well, why and how that came about? I mean, a lot of questions. Just like that. I mean, remember how determined he was. People were telling him to get out of the race. He said, go to you know where. Take a look.
I'm the nominee of the Democratic Party. I'm the nominee of this party because millions of Democrats like you just voted for me in primaries all across America. You voted for me to be your nominee, no one else. You, the voters did that. And despite that some folks don't seem to care who you voted for, well, guess what? They're trying to push me out of the race. No! Well, let me say this as clearly as I can. I'm staying in the race.
So what happened? How did they incentivize him to leave? Did they threaten him to leave the race? And who was actually involved? I hear Obama, Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, Schumer. What happened? And he's not wrong about this. He did get 14 million votes. Kamala Harris got 0. And there she is. It's kind of amazing. But what would we expect from Joe? We kind of expected the straight scoop. At least that's what he said during his inaugural address. January 20th, 2021, scared everybody, telling ghost stories all over again about January 6th, right? But as he wrapped things up, and this is why I say this guy's got, no soul. He made a big promise to the big man, and he's not delivering.